guys, so Lee is out of the shop today, which gives us the unique opportunity to still Evan and to find out how each step of Steller's process in the wood shop is adding quality to your Steller floor. I found Evan out here next to this pile of the rough lumber that's coming into our shop. And so what I want him to do is to tell us what type of lumber we need to get from here to this.
So in order to make really good floors, we have to start with a very high quality grade of lumber. And that means that these boards are wide and they don't have very many defects or grain irregularities in them to start with.
Okay, so what do you mean by defects?
Since wood is a natural material, things like knots from branches, bug damage, and even damage from the sawing process can affect the quality of the flooring material that comes out of it.
Okay, so that makes a lot of sense. So we're selecting for something that's really high quality, but what happens if we get a board in that doesn't meet your standards?
If the problem is local, it's not spread over the whole board or it's not very impactful to the board, we can often remove that by cutting it out. However, if we do get a board that just isn't going to work well for floors, we can repack that and sell it to another hardwood flooring manufacturer who can make a good product out of it.
Great. I'm really glad to hear that we are not wasting things in the shop. Okay, so what's the next step?
So let's go over to the chop saw and we'll talk about starting to process this board.
So we're at step 2 of our process here, and this is the chop saw. So Evan, what are we doing in this step?
So the chop saw, what we're doing is we're starting to defect the lumber, meaning getting rid of defects, and we are starting to establish the final length of that board.
Okay, so what lengths are we talking about?
Usually we're talking about 4 foot, that's the length we like to target, but then if we pick up any defects through the process, we'll cut that board down to 3 foot or 2 foot.
Okay, so 4 feet doesn't seem like it's all that long to me. Why are we choosing that length?
So the reason we do 4 foot lumber is from my drawing background, I can tell you that almost all 8 foot lumber has a bow in it. So either we pass that bow on to the customer or we take care of it for them and give them a nice flat flooring plank to work with.
I love that we're removing variability with that step. Okay, so from here, where do we go?
Next, we'll go over to the joiner.
All right, so at this point, we have made sure that there are no knots in this board, and we've cut it so that we can get it flat. And this one is definitely flat. So Evan, what's the next step?
So the next step is to establish that flat face, and that's what a joiner's for.
Okay, so this is the step where we get that entirely flat surface. And is this something that is done everywhere in the industry?
No, unfortunately, most flooring manufacturers are focused on production. So what they'll do is they'll feed the wood through a planer, which has hold downs that press the board flat and then machine both surfaces. However, when the hold downs let go, the warp comes right back.
Okay, so that same warp that we were talking about in the previous step is just there through the entire process.
Yep, and it'll actually end up in that final flooring plank as well.
Okay, well that's good to know. So to do this, do we create any more waste than someone else in the industry?
No, since rough sawn lumber is cut to about 1 inch thick, what happens is to make a 3/4 inch flooring plank, we actually have to remove the same amount of wood as any other flooring manufacturer.
Great, I'm glad to hear that. Okay, so now if there are no knots, it is truly flat, then the next step it seems like should be to cut our grooves.
Yep, right now we have a great foundation piece and we can get moving on turning it into a piece of flooring.
Okay, next is the best piece of equipment. Okay, so now we have a board that is flat, free of defects, and we're finally ready to make our Steller groove. So Evan, how do we do that?
So what we've done is we have taken a piece of standard shop equipment and heavily modified it to cut our inward angled groove. Now, this groove may look really simple, but it's actually so unique in the wood products industry that we were able to patent this custom groove.
That's awesome. So do have a question. Does it cut both grooves at once?
No, unfortunately at this point it only cuts one groove at a time, so it's a 2-pass process. However, between those 2 grooves we're able to hold within 0.03 of an inch.
Oh, that's awesome. I've also noticed that you guys seem to be setting your eyes on these boards at a lot of points during your process. Is that the case?
Yes, it is. Our flooring, being a new product, being something we want to make way in the industry for and revolutionize the way people are doing hardwood floors, we want to make sure that every piece is perfect and that it gets to the customer in a condition that we can be proud of.
Perfect. So it sounds like this board then is through with manufacturing and ready to go on to finishing.
Yep.